Even if some people are walking back in, no biggie. We're going to go ahead and get started. Before we do, I had some great conversations as people were kind of walking, or came up and started talking to me, and I realized, like, with social media, it's everybody's at different levels, right? I mean, you could have a level where someone, like, I don't even have the Instagram app, or I don't even have that app, right? Like, I totally get that. And here's the great thing about all of these social media platforms is that we're all going to start at the beginning at some point with these devices, with these ideas. There's one thing that we all know that is a fact. This is the new TV. This is everybody's life in one device. Before this didn't have, I mean, there's nothing that has ever done what this does, right? I mean, you could go back all throughout history. I mean, this literally can do everything all in one device. And so the idea is listen, don't get so caught up in trying to do everything. Just pick one area, whether it be Instagram, kind of like what we were talking about, and just practice it. Try it, make a post, fail forward. Oh man, I don't like that picture. Go ahead, let's delete it. Now let's try again, right? Like, fail forward. And then the more you fail forward, guess what? Little by little, you start to get better and better, and you feel more comfortable. Because we all can remember back when we rode a bike, right, for the first time, right? My son, 3-4 years old, we had him trying to ride a bike. When he was 4, that December, I'll never forget, he was riding with my dad, grandpa, and my dad just said, don't stop pedaling. And so what does he do? And I mean, he's going straight for the curb. And I'm running full speed to try to catch him. And I'm like, stop. What do you think my son is saying? How do I stop? He didn't know how to go backwards. I mean, all he knew was just keep pedaling. My dad said, keep pedaling, gotta keep pedaling. And I mean, I grabbed him just before he hit that curb, and I grabbed him and I'm like, okay, well, now we have to teach him the brakes, So just fail forward. Don't worry about trying to do everything all at once. Because, we all know, like, doing everything is like throwing spaghetti on the wall. We're trying to see what sticks. No, just pick something. Try it out, work with it a little bit, and if it gets comfortable, you'll get more comfortable, then try the next thing. Now, what I wanted to start out with was like the overview, 10 ways to kind of like step up your social media game. So I wanted to be kind of real high level, kind of overarching high level. Now what I want to do is kind of drop down below the clouds and look at 2 actual platforms that I think that you should really spend some time on. And it's really important that you think about spending time in LinkedIn and Twitter. And I will go into specifics on how to do that. And it's easy. Don't worry about it. LinkedIn and Twitter do not have to be difficult. They're not, okay? So you guys know who I am, so let's just move on through that. Let's talk about the agenda. We're going to talk about the top 5 mistakes that I see on LinkedIn to this day, okay? We're going to talk about creating and maximizing your profile. Your profile, remember what I told you earlier, is your resume for the world. We're going to talk about your settings, connecting Twitter, recommendations versus endorsements. This is huge, 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 huge. What is the difference between an endorsement and a recommendation? And then we're going to talk about what is the deal with Twitter. Like, really, what's the deal? Right? We hear about it in the news a lot. Like, what is the big deal? We're going to talk about the Twitter app, and then we're going to talk about hashtags, get in the game, and then last but not least, linking your Twitter to Facebook. Okay, now that sounds like a lot, but it's really simple, really easy. And remember, I want to make sure everybody understands 2 major things are going to happen from this weekend. Number 1, everybody here is going to get the slides. So no nervousness. anxiety level down because you can go back. Number 2, Gabe is here. And Gabe is recording all of this. And guess what? All of this is going to be online on my YouTube channel. So you'll be able to go and watch at your leisure for $9.95. No, just kidding. You'll be able to go watch for free. All right? It's free. You like that? It's all free. You could go on YouTube and you can watch all of the videos. Okay? So if there's anything you missed, you're just like, well, I didn't really catch that. You can go back and watch it. Okay? So we've already talked about this, didn't we? Right? What is our goal with social media? Stand out. Right? What? And you said something. I love that. Don't. And then this. Oh, that's so good. That could be a whole Mindset Monday right there. I like that one. Don't be invisible. Right? Don't be invisible. You have to stand out. And social media gives us the ability to stand out. Once it's, I have to tell you this story. So yesterday, Gabe knows this, I had one of my high school buddies. He was just messaging me on all different platforms. Hey, I want to talk to you. I want to get with you. Finally, we set up a time. He walks in. I haven't seen him since graduation. Now, I graduated a long time ago, okay? So I'm 43. So that was in 99 and I graduated, okay? So we're sitting there catching up and talking. Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? And we're talking. And as we're sitting there and having this great conversation, he literally looks at me and he goes, man, I don't know what you're doing. He goes, but I'm seeing all the video. And I was like, oh, okay. Now, I've been speaking for a long time, but no one ever saw it. No one had seen what I could do when I was speaking. Only the small groups, teachers, because I was doing a lot of educational consulting. And so I was teaching in front of a lot of teachers, but no one ever videotaped it. So now when I hired Gabe and we started recording all of this stuff and I started putting it out there, people were like, wow, you learned all this in the last 6 months? It's like, no, it's taken a little longer than 6 months, right? I mean, like, you know, all of everything that you've encapsulated over the years that you've been teaching, right? It's taking years to put all that together. And so now that I'm not invisible, people are starting to notice, and it's really interesting, the conversations, because now everyone thinks I'm really, really busy. I'm not that busy. I mean, it looks like it, right? Like everyone's like, man, I know you're busy. And I always laugh. I'm like, I'm not that busy. I have Gabe, right? I'm not that busy, right? Because let me tell you, Gabe knows if I try to edit anything, it's just not going to be good. It's just not going to be good. All right. So let's talk about the 5 mistakes on LinkedIn. Does everybody know what LinkedIn is, right? Everybody's seen it. It's basically a place where you can put where you've worked. You could put all your, almost like I said, an online resume. You can put awards. You can now do video. You can now do post. All of those things you can do, and it looks just like what now? Anybody been on LinkedIn recently? Yeah? Anybody want to be honest? Yeah. It looks what? Just like Facebook. It literally looks just like Facebook now. It's got that little banner on the left, the little banners on the right, and advertising, and then all the stuff right in the middle, the feed, what they call a feed, right? And so here's what I've seen as really bad mistakes. Number 1, a bad profile picture or no picture at all on LinkedIn. That's a big mistake. Also, having a glamour shot from 83. Hey. Listen, right? So listen, those glamour shots were cute. I love when my sister got her glamour shots, but like it, you know, but you need to make sure that you've got a great picture. Now, does it have to be like the perfect headshot by a photographer? No, it could be a great picture in great light outside where it's nice. You look really happy, right? Where you're smiling. I've actually seen someone on a keg stand for their LinkedIn picture. Now, do you think that was a guy or a girl? It was a girl. So, make sure you have a good picture for your LinkedIn. Really important. Number 2.
Farm and ranch.
That's funny. Next one, not having a summary. Okay, and a summary is like, it's basically like a little encapsulation of who you are and what you do. Think of it as, remember when you used to send your resumes and you would put that little cover letter, right? That's the same thing as a summary. And I've seen people like write it, Tomas in the third person and, like that whole idea. However you feel comfortable, you want to have a summary, okay? And you want to make sure that you have that. A lot of people miss that. Number 3, not completing your profile. So I want you to imagine that Apple decides to open up in Kerrville, right? Now, nobody here is going to leave their job because they know real estate's where it's at. But let's just hypothetically say your children want to go work for Apple and they bring a resume that's not finished to the interview. It's incomplete, doesn't make sense, hasn't really been looked over. How are they going to fare at that interview for Apple? Not very well, right? But here's the thing. When I go look at LinkedIn profiles, that's what I see a lot of. People not filling out their profile. And you want to be an all-star. Everybody say all-star. All-star. LinkedIn rates everybody based on your profile and what you upload. The goal is to become a all-star. Once you get to that level, you actually show up more in searches. The higher rating you are, the more you show up in searches. The more you interact with LinkedIn, the more opportunity. If you typed in my name in Google right now, the third or fourth, now if you did Tomas Martinez III, the first one's going to be a famous soccer player, all right? Then the third or fourth is more than likely going to be me. Now think about that for a second, right? A little bit of a unique name, but the third or fourth, someone's going to see my resume. And guess who wrote it? Me, right? I mean, that's a great deal. I get to tell everybody how awesome I am in my own resume on LinkedIn. So make sure you complete your profile. We'll talk about that. Number 4, not personalizing your friend requests, your LinkedIn requests. I do think that I'm not a big fan of that. And then inviting people you don't know. I think this is a big mistake. Okay? LinkedIn is about quality, not quantity. LinkedIn is a professional networking site that's about quality, knowing people. It's not about quantity. And what most people do is they get the LinkedIn app and they'll go to people and they literally just go connect, and they just go down the list. I just got to connect with all these people. Here we go, right? That's not the purpose of LinkedIn. LinkedIn is, now that you and I've met, I'm hoping that we'll get to connect on LinkedIn now. And then what I want to do is I want to personalize that request. Because we've now met in person, now I want to make that LinkedIn. I get a lot of LinkedIn requests. And if they don't have a photo, I don't connect with them. Because I don't know who they are, So I like to connect with people that I've met. Sometimes that's not always possible. But for me personally, I don't go on LinkedIn and just start connecting randomly. So how do we maximize our profile? So here's my profile. I've got a really cool picture of me speaking at an event during Fiesta with my wife. I've got my summary right here. Then I've got my title right here. Your title is important. Make it fun, right? I put on there, Luxury Home Magazine owner, speaker, coach, future #1 best-selling author. It's coming one day. It's coming, right? And then I have, all this information here. It doesn't say all. Oh, there it is. There's my level, all-star, right? And then you have, if you go down further, the idea here is you want to maximize your profile as much as possible. And what I say, this is what I always tell people. Lifetime movie, right? Turn on Netflix, get a nice little beverage. If you like adult beverage, do that. Sit down. It'll take you, if you've never really done this, it'll take you 30 to 45 minutes to go through and update it. Now, do you need to put that you worked at H-E-B when you were 16? No. Please don't. don't do it. Even if you were Bagger of the Year, Tomas, you don't need to do it. All right? Even if you were Bagger of the Year, don't do it. True story. So literally, you start putting your career jobs, all those career jobs, start putting them in there in the years. Now, I have people sometimes tell me, well, I don't know if I want to put that I was the CEO of this company or the owner of this company. Let me tell you something. If people know that you've owned your own business, right? There's a different mentality that they have when they deal with you when they know that. There's a different level of credibility when someone knows that you've run your own business. Whether it was successful or not, or made tons of money or didn't make tons, it doesn't matter. You actually were in the trenches and you were trying and you were doing something, right? So go back and fill in all of those. Now, I love this. There's a point where it asks you about education, right? And I fill out my education. I have my bachelor's degree from UTSA. I have my master's from A&M. And then it says, Tomas, would you like to put the grades you got in college? And I'm like, no. You don't need to know my grades. I finished. That's all that matters, all right? So you need to take the time with this. Now, don't waste your time on LinkedIn. It would be better for you to go into LinkedIn right now and turn it off on the Google search. If you're not going to take your time to fill it all out, it would be better for it not to even exist on the internet. It would be like walking in with a resume that doesn't exist. And I think what would be really good is we make this a challenge for the brokerage, right? Because last year, y'all took the challenge for Instagram like nobody's business. I think what would be a great challenge is to get to 90% of the agents have an all-star rating on LinkedIn. And that's not that hard to do, right? Remember, one Lifetime movie, you're good. Okay? One little adult beverage, right? You need to think all-star. Take your time, go through your LinkedIn and fill it all out. It's super easy to do. It's super easy to become an all-star, right? It's your resume for the world. LinkedIn will actually guide you through the process. It'll say, hey, do you now want to put where you volunteer? Why, yes, I do. Here, you put it in. Oh, do you want to talk about any projects you have going on, right? So you can say yes or no to what you want to enter, okay? And then last but not least, make sure you include a high quality picture, not from, 93, right? We want to put a recent picture, good lighting. Does it have to be professional with a backdrop and the whole nine? No. It could be something where you're just like, wow, I really like myself in that picture. Use that. That's fine. Next up, settings. LinkedIn allows you to do a lot of really cool things with the settings. You could be as private as you want. You can be as public as you want. Okay? Do you want your profile public on LinkedIn? And the answer would be from everyone. Yes. What's the point of having an online resume if no one knows it's there? Right? If they search your name and it doesn't pop up, it's not the point. The point is you want it to be public. And so in your settings, up at the very top, you'll have like your little picture. You'll hit that, and then it'll ask you, do you want this to be visible, right? Do you want it to be your public profile to be visible? Yes, you want it on. And then you can actually edit what you want people to see and how you want them to see it. Do you want your recommendations at the top? Do you want your job at the top? Do you want your education at the top? You get to decide. So make sure you go through this and you have it. Here's what I love. You can get to a point where you can customize your LinkedIn website. Notice it says linkedin.com/in/Tomas Martinez III. You get to the ability to go in and make your own website for LinkedIn with your name. Because it gives you a generic one, then you can go back in and you can edit that. So it's really, really cool. Now, settings for LinkedIn. You are the boss. You're the boss. When you go in here, you click on your name, you now have access to all of the different things that you want to do, right? So it says how others see your LinkedIn, how LinkedIn uses your data, job seeking preferences, blocking and hiding. I mean, literally everything is in here. And guess what? Guess what's also in here? Ads. Because now, remember, what did LinkedIn sell for? $26 billion. You think they're making money and revenue on advertising? You can better believe it. Anybody here use LinkedIn for hiring? You have?
Yes.
I've used it. What did you think?
I loved it. It was the best tool we had to hire.
To hire. It's a great tool, but understand this, it is not cheap. I found that it wasn't cheap. It's reasonable, but it's not cheap. You're going to pay for it, but you're going to get good quality people, you know? And I've used a lot of different services, but you're the boss, okay? You can come in here and you can do all kinds of things. Now, notice this. If I want to connect to Twitter, notice right here, you see the Twitter setting? When you come in here for accounts, you go to partners and services, accounts, partner and services, and now I can connect to Twitter. Okay? When I do that, what it's going to happen is the Twitter box is going to pop up and it's going to ask you to log into your Twitter. And that's it. You're now connected to Twitter on your LinkedIn. So if you remember what happens when that happens, if I do a LinkedIn post, where does it automatically go? It automatically goes to my Twitter. Okay? Now I'm going to talk about Twitter in a minute, so we'll get to that. But you need to know how to link them. So everybody, we go to accounts, partner and services, Twitter settings, and then you just log into Twitter. That easy? Very, very easy. Now, understanding recommendations versus endorsements. Okay? Do you remember there was a time period where this little blue box would pop up and it'd say, hey, endorse so-and-so for selling. Endorse so-and-so for this, right? So endorsements think of it like a popularity deal, okay? Endorsements were created to create engagement. Nobody was hanging out on LinkedIn, people, all right? Nobody was just scrolling and doing a lot of hanging out. But when they introduced endorsements and when they started introducing video and when they started making it look like Facebook, now they started finding out people were spending more time on the app. And this was one of the ways that they were getting people to do it. An endorsement is a skill. Do you remember when they ask you, hey, what skills do you have? And you could put all the different skills, right? Now, what's a recommendation? A recommendation is when someone you're connected to gives you a testimonial and they physically write it and then you get to upload it to your page. Now, here's the beauty about a recommendation. If you're not connected to them on LinkedIn, if we're not connected, I can't get a recommendation from Tony if we're not connected. Okay? If I really, let's say you have a buyer or a seller. If you have a buyer or a seller and you really want to get their recommendation, what do you have to do first? We got to be connected. We need to be connected before I'm ever going to get a recommendation from you. Now, my goal for you is that by the end of the year, you get 3 recommendations from a buyer, seller, and a professional. 3 recommendations. And I'm going to teach you how to do that. Now, this is what endorsements look like, right? Marketing. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, please.
So for recommendations, we get, there's a company, Real Satisfied.
Okay, yes.
That does surveys for us,
Yes.
testimonials for us. So is there a way of putting that onto?
On LinkedIn. No. And I'll tell you why. And this is the beauty of why I believe LinkedIn recommendations are really, really good and they're hard to get, right? Because I have to physically ask you within the program to give me that recommendation. And then you have to type up the recommendation and then send it back to me all within the program. You can't fake a LinkedIn recommendation. which is good. A lot of these other sites, you can fake testimonials, you can fake recommendations, you can have people say things that never really happened. With LinkedIn, it's really hard because now I guess you could if you had somebody that you could just say, hey, write this about me and I'll write this about you. Yes, there is that, but it's a little harder when we're talking about buyers and sellers. So that program wouldn't work for LinkedIn, but it will work for others. But now, does that still work? Yes, absolutely. Because you have another company that goes out and gets the survey for you. So that's still really, really, really good. Yes.
So we have a URL right to our recommendations.
Good.
Could we add a link into LinkedIn that goes back to our Real Satisfied?
No, you could, they do allow you, yeah, you know what you could do is they allow web pages now. So on your summary, if you clicked on my summary and you went down the bottom, there are like multiple web pages and video. So you can have a URL link to those testimonials. Okay. Yes. Yes. So that would be a workaround if you want to send them to a site. That's the way to do it. Yes.
And just continuing that thought, I believe when we get the Real Satisfied surveys back and it asks you to approve them, I think two of the options to share with, do you want to share with Facebook? And do you want to share with Twitter?
Yeah.
It goes
So
to
then Twitter,
Yeah.
then it would come over to LinkedIn if you had it.
No, because Twitter, the way the connection, the way the connection works with Twitter and Instagram, with LinkedIn. Let me back up. I'm going too fast. The way the connection works is LinkedIn can only go to Twitter. Twitter cannot go the other way. A lot of these are like that. Like for Facebook, Instagram can go to Facebook, but Facebook doesn't post to Instagram unless you do ads. And when you do ads, then it goes that way. But other than that, it doesn't. So getting back to an endorsement is simply what? It's like a like, it's like a popularity. Doesn't really mean much. Don't put a lot of effort into this. But now recommendations. Here's one of the recommendations that I received. I have 22 recommendations. Okay? Again, it's been a while. I need to update this. That was 2016 was probably one of my last ones. I need to get some more. But the idea is this, is that once you start getting these and you get into a habit, let's say you did 3 buyers and sellers, right, every couple of months. And you were able to get a recommendation from every buyer, every seller, right? Guess how many you're going to have at the end of the year? If you did that every 2 months, that's a lot of recommendations. You could end up with, let's say it's 6 every 2 months. So 6 times 3, 18, somewhere around there. 3 each time every 2 months. 18 every year for the next 10 years. When someone goes to your LinkedIn and they see all of those recommendations, they're going to think, I'm working with a winner here. Someone had their hand up.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you said it won't go that way, but any recommendations that we get, which is also a testimonial, it'll go to Twitter and Facebook and all those.
No. So and I know that's confusing. So let me, I'll just make sure.
You go one way, but I can go
Yeah, so when you get a recommendation, it doesn't allow you, it just basically goes on your page. Think of it as like it loads up on your page. You can't really share it or do anything with it, but when someone comes to your resume, they're going to see all of your recommendations.
I'm just curious, the reason I'm asking is
Yeah.
because that same person would have to do a recommendation here, a recommendation with our site.
On multiple levels, yes.
So it creates a pain.
That's when you get a gift card.
Yeah, so, but here's what I will tell you. Yeah, I like that, right? Here's what I'll tell you is that the beauty of, the way y'all have it, and not a lot of brokers do that, which I think is fantastic, right? But I will tell you, the way this works, and I'll show you how to do this, is not as hard as you would think it would be. It's difficult in the beginning because once you learn, like how you have to get them, but once you know how to get these and actually ask for it, it actually becomes really easy. So this is how it works. So what you do, if you want to get a recommendation, You go down to the recommendation and you say, get recommendation. There's a little section. You can't see it here. It's over in this little corner. Get recommendation. And then what you're going to do is it'll say, okay, for what job do you want to be recommended? Now, I have like Luxury Home Magazine. I have John Maxwell Coach. And then I have a speaker. I think those are the two on there. Luxury Home Magazine, John Maxwell Coach. So if I say, okay, I want a coaching recommendation, then I have to pick what person do I want to recommend me. And we already have to be what? Connected. So then what I do is I click on that and I pick the person. So now I have the person in mind, and then a screen pops up and it has a pre-formatted, hey, this is Tomas. I'd like for you to recommend me as your John Maxwell coach. And that's a really bad email. Whatever's typed in that box, erase it. It's terrible. When you want a recommendation, you need to be specific in what you want. So if you have a buyer, you say, hey, Billy, listen, I'm going to send you a LinkedIn. You're at the closing. Everybody's happy. I'm going to send you a LinkedIn recommendation. And I really would love for you to talk about the process that we went through to find your dream home. And in the email, you say, Billy, talk about the recommendation. I want you to talk about the process that we used to find your dream home. So now, I'll never forget, I had one of my third grade students Facebook me and say, can you write me a recommendation? She was 18, but she wanted me to write something about when she was in the third grade with me. And I thought to myself, I'm like, you got in line really good. You know, like you could color with the best of them, you know? Like, woo! I didn't know what to say. So this, yeah, like you were so sweet and quiet, you know? Like I didn't know what to say, but here was the thing. What it reminded me of is that typically when we ask for a recommendation, we're very vague. And so people naturally, when someone asks me for a recommendation, I naturally get nervous because I don't feel, I have to be careful how I say this because I'm fighting this narrative in my brain. Writing was hard for me, right? So when I have someone ask me to write something, I get that automatic, I think of the red ink pen that my teacher wrote all over my page. I immediately go back into that, here's another bloody paper, that she just put her red pen all over. But if someone said, hey, I'd like for you to recommend me on my leadership during this problem that we face together, can you write about that? Oh, yeah. Billy, this was awesome. When we had an issue, this is what now I have something to write about. Give your clients something to actually write about. Be specific. You have a buyer, be specific to that situation. You have a seller, be specific to that situation. You have a professional that you've worked with, be specific on what you want. Because otherwise, every one of your recommendations are going to sound the same. You, Tomas, were amazing to work with. You're so exciting and cool and yay, can't wait for you to come back, right? That's super vague, but why is that recommendation vague? I didn't ask.
What are your thoughts because I think to Tiffany's point, we're asking them at the end of this transaction, do this survey, do that survey.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on if you're out showing them property and say, hey, we just got this contract accepted. Would you mind just putting a little recommendation in there on what it's like to show property with me?
And you're talking about from LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, not wait to the end.
Yeah.
Several stages that we go through.
I think there's nothing wrong with that. Yep. Yes.
Can you copy and paste into
Ha
LinkedIn?
ha. So here is there is one thing that I've heard of is that people get a lot of Facebook testimonies, right? People get a lot of Instagram testimonies. Or have you ever gotten an impromptu testimony where someone just brags about you and you're just like, this is awesome, right? Right? I love this. I can't believe it. This is so good, right? Well, whenever you get that, you could theoretically in the notes that you send them, you could say, hey, you wrote this on Facebook. Copy, paste. would you mind sending me this back in LinkedIn? They copy and paste it, and then they set that in the email and they send it right back to you. Right? That now there's always that fine line between that, because we don't want to tell them what to say. We want to give them ideas, but if they've already given us a testimony, all they're doing is taking where they put it in one place, copy and paste it, emailing it back to us.
And it
So
looks like it's linked through all your stuff. If people are looking, or it looks like,
it came from them.
yeah.
Yep.
It's real.
It looks real. It came from them, and it did. It was just that we took something they said on Facebook, we dropped it into LinkedIn, and we're asking them all they have to do is copy and paste what they said and send it back. That's it. That's it. Super easy. Listen, this is the gift that keeps on giving for me. Because when people go to my site and they look at this and they see all of my recommendations, do you think anybody's going down your feed on Facebook to find your 15 testimonials that you had, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago? No one's going down your feed. They're not. Now, do you think, I've seen this done, and I think this is beautiful and it's a great idea. One of the agents in San Antonio that's in the magazine, she has a Raving Fans page on her website. Raving Fans. Great idea, right? Because now she can literally put every single testimony that she's ever gotten, and she can put that on her Raving Fans, and they just keep going and keep going. And now she can literally send that link to someone. She could put it on Linktree, that page, and everybody could see every single testimony she's ever gotten.
So that's a workaround too.
Absolutely.
If it's on like that, and then you just.
Yeah, you could take all of your ones that you've gotten from this program that you'll use. You can just take them, copy and paste them on a web page, right? Put them on a web page, and then you can literally direct people to that page from your LinkedIn. That's another way that you could do this. But I will say the LinkedIn recommendation it's such a good thing to have on there.
So what are your thoughts on prior careers before
Yes.
Levi's? If you have recommendations and a bazillion contacts from
Yes.
that, do you leave it? Do you
Leave
throw-
it.
Leave it.
Yeah, did y'all hear that? That's so good. That's so good. She's saying, what if you had a previous career and you had a lot of contacts? That's your sphere of influence. Every one of them could buy a house from you, right? Every one of them could reconnect at some point with you to help you in your current business right now. So yeah, absolutely. That's why I think LinkedIn has so much power, is because if you had a previous career, all of those people now are going to know what you do now. And then when you do the next feature, which is huge, this is the blog feature for LinkedIn. Everybody in this room can now write blogs on LinkedIn. Before, this was only allowed by influencers. Now, everybody in this room, this was an article. I think I have, how many articles, Gabe? Like 28? Something like that? I've got like 28 articles that I've written on LinkedIn. And so when you go to my articles, you could see this article, Why I Wish I Could Be More Like My 7-year-old Son. I wrote an article about my son trying out for McAllister Baseball. Anybody know anything about McAllister Baseball? Might as well be like the minor leagues. I mean, professional. And what I put my son through, I just sat there and I watched and I was just amazed. Read that article, you'll get a kick out of it. But I wrote that back in February of 2018, okay? Really cool article. But now, why is this important? Because this blog feature is literally, you just go in there, when you go to your post, it says, do you want to write an article? Right? And you say yes. Everybody here say yes, I want to write an article. Yes. You click that button and this pops up. You can put a picture. Could this be an article about one of your listings? Yes. Could this be an article about something going on in Kerrville? An event that's about to take place? Right? Could this be an article about the market and how y'all have the dominating share in the market? Showcasing the domination of C21? Absolutely. See, the reason why blogs are so powerful is that blogs show who are the experts. Right? Blogs blogs show who are the experts. Now, do you need to know everything about writing an article? No. Does your article need to be 10 pages? Please, God, no. Right? Does your article need to just have maybe a beginning and a middle and an end like in 4th grade? Yes. Right? Keep it simple. What about hunting? Could you do an article? Do you think people in Kerrville would read an article about hunting? Yes. About hunting season, right? This is what I love to write about. 3 tips to remember during Christmas. Right? 3 tips. Could you come up with 3 tips for homeowners to remember during Christmas, right? Of things that they should do for Christmas? What's that? Water your tree. Water your tree. Yeah. And why is it important to water the tree? So it doesn't catch on fire with those lights, right?
But if you burn your house down, I can sell you a new one.
There you go. We can definitely sell you a new one. That's right. That's right. Yeah. So to me, the articles, I love the idea of 4 ways to start reorganizing your house for 2019, right? 5 ways to get your house ready for the new year, for the spring selling season, right? Literally, could you do an article on just about anything and find 3 ways, 2 ways, 5 ways, whatever? You could do that all day long. What about a book review? Could you do a book review? Absolutely. But here's the thing. This is a difference maker in your market, because do you think anybody's doing this in Kerrville right now? Do you think anybody is taking the time to educate their followers on LinkedIn? Right? There's a few. Are you doing this? I love it. And what's your reaction you typically get?
Pretty good.
It's good.
Because I found the same thing that you're saying is that, yeah, people that are educated, that do have more money,
Yeah.
they're interacting more with it. They're looking for deeper content than just a photo of a listing.
Yes.
They want to know the nitty gritty of the market and our area and things like that. So
Yes.
I find it to be really helpful.
It's super helpful. And then you probably had a situation where someone comes up and says, hey, I read your article, and you now have a different context to talk about something. As opposed to, what do we normally talk about? Man, this weather. Man, this weather. Right? It's like now I have something else that we can dialogue about. It's powerful. So do it. Yes. Yes. You could even within the article, you can add images and video within the article. I mean, there's so much. I mean, this is literally like a blog. Like, it's so awesome. I'm telling you, this is a feature that everybody needs to promise to write 1 article. Could we all write 1 article? Yes. Everybody in this room could write 1 article. And trust me, what if you did your listing? Featured listing on 123 Alamo, whatever. You did your feature listing. You literally copied and pasted the MLS remarks, drop it in there, fix it up a bit, put a picture. Okay, first article's done, right? Like, you can literally do that. Now, don't do that every day, please. Don't do that for all your articles, right? Mix it up. Have fun with it. And have you ever found, like, when you're reading a book, where you found like a quote or you found an idea to where you can write a whole something about that, what you're thinking, or, kind of thoughts and things that have come out just from that one quote? Man, there's so much you can do with this. All right, let's got to keep moving. All right, we're running out of time here. What's the deal with Twitter? Here's the deal. Now we're going to transition into Twitter. These are all the stats. I've kind of already gone into this. Started in 2006. Twitter is what I call the water cooler. Okay? It's, the water cooler conversation where people just, you kind of walk up and people just start saying, oh, what about this? Have you heard about this? It's like people's opinions, and they just start firing off opinions about stuff. It's a water cooler. Now, I will tell you, I am not a fan of Twitter, just going on Twitter and reading what everybody's talking about. I confess, I don't do it, right? Now, do I post to Twitter? Yes. Do I put content on Twitter? Yes. Do I spend a lot of time on Twitter? No. I just know that's a tool and that it's out there and I'm going to post stuff to it, but I'm not going to interact with it a lot, okay? But you still need to interact with it in terms of posting to it. You may not need to spend a lot of time on there. Now, there are people who love Twitter. Anybody here love Twitter? My wife loves Twitter. Gabe loves Twitter. I'm not a big Twitter, like I'm just not that big into it, but it has an impact. So right here, this is my desktop version of what it looks like because you can do all of this from the desktop. There's so much that you can do with this. A lot of hashtag. Can you do video? Yes. Can you do live? Yes. There's a lot you can do with it. So now here's what your app looks like in Twitter. You know, this is what they call the feed where you can scroll. And the thing that drives me nuts is that there's so much going on when you're scrolling that it's like, my ADD kicks in and I can't do it, right? That's just me. That's just me. But like if you want to write a post, you click on the pin and then up comes your Twitter post. You now have the ability to do pictures. You can do the little GIF. You know, the little picture that does a little something, whatever, that little quick pictures, right? You can do a poll now. You can actually ask a question on Twitter and get a poll going, which is really interesting. You can tag your location, and then you have live and photo and all of this. So there's a lot that within the idea of Twitter that you can do now with this with the new app. And I love this poll. You ask your question and then you give them choices and then people can pick. Has anybody done that? Anybody tried that yet? I'm sorry?
Not on Twitter.
Not on Twitter, on Facebook.
Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, Facebook, I love it. And in the poll and the stories. Yeah, you can do those yes or no questions or right or left. Which one do you like? Absolutely. So hashtags. So we need to thank this guy, Chris Messina, because he was the inventor of the hashtag on Twitter. And his problem was there was so much stuff that was being dumped into Twitter, but you couldn't search it. You couldn't find anything. It was just like, So he said, we need to use the hashtag symbol, that number symbol. And from there, it started helping users connect to other users. Because if you notice, anybody look at the midterm election hashtag on Tuesday night? And if you were on Twitter or you were on any platform, guess what was trending? Midterm elections, right? And if you clicked on any of those hashtags, guess what you were going to see? Everything and anything, it was just going. And people were just commenting. But here's the power of Instagram. As all of that's trending and going on, you could drop your opinion into the water cooler. Stay with me now, right? You drop your opinion and you could literally have thousands, millions of people see your opinion and then have an opinion and respond to you and like what you're saying. Why? Because your tweet is being connected with everybody that's using that trending topic. What's that?
And I promise you they're not going to like
They may not like your tweet. That's right. That's right. But if you think about this, this is truly unprecedented in our history that we could have instant connection with all of these people in the world having a conversation about this one hashtag topic. When has that ever been done in our history? It's being done right now on Twitter. It's powerful. Now, if you like that, you're going to get a kick out of it. We know Gabe likes it. But for me, it's a little bit too much. It's too fast-paced, and I get lost in it, right? So you're saying, well, why are we learning about it? Well, here's why. Because it's still a tool, and it's still a place we can put content. So guess what? When I write an article and I go to share, guess where it goes? I can share it to my Twitter. I can share it to my Facebook from the share options on my article. And I can put that article out into the interwebs. And now other people have the ability to connect with my content. Before, you would write a blog and you would just hope somebody comes to my page. I hope somebody sees it. Now, you put a couple hashtags on it, you send it out there, you could literally have 1,000 people read your article. Just by the right hashtags, just by getting it out there onto Twitter. It's powerful. Powerful, powerful stuff. And I will tell you, with Twitter, it's speed. Speed is the common denominator, right? Like that. Well, that is the one criteria. The quicker you can get it out there onto Twitter, the quicker the momentum starts to build, right? Now, here's the thing about hashtags. Do you need to have more than 20? You don't need it. You don't need it. Okay, 20 is good. Less than 20 is fine. 10 is fine. I mean, there's times I may only put like 5 or 6, and that's okay, right? I just don't have time to write 20 of them. And sometimes I don't feel like copy and pasting, going in my notes and doing that. So a handful is just fine. So linking. Here's how, click on your privacy settings on Twitter. When you go into your settings right here, you're going to see down here this thing called apps. Now, more than likely, you're going to need to do this from your desktop. I'm not sure you could do this from your Twitter. Were you able to do this from Twitter? Yes, you're going to have to do this on a desktop or maybe an iPad, right? When you go in here, you're going to see apps, this button down here. Now, let me remind you, what I'm talking about here is connecting Twitter to Facebook. Because we've already connected LinkedIn to Twitter, right? Because we do that within where? How do you connect LinkedIn and Twitter? You have to do that within LinkedIn, and you can't go the other way, right? So now LinkedIn's connected to Twitter, and so now I can go into Twitter and I can connect my Twitter to my Facebook. And can you connect it to your business page? Yes. Yes, you can. So all you do is click it, and then it says, what is your account? You type in your password and your username, and now your Twitter is connected to your Facebook. Why is that important? Efficiency. Just makes things quicker, okay? Now, this also alleviates me from having to go into Twitter. I don't have to open the Twitter app. I don't have to go in there and be like, Does everybody remember when they first got Twitter and that bird kept chirping? I remember that bird kept, and I didn't know what it was. And then, I should have realized it's called Twitter, for a reason. And then I finally realized all those noises were people were making posts, and I was just getting a notification for every single time. Now on Twitter, do people do a lot of posts? A lot of posts. You'll see some of these guys. I think Grant Cardone, what did we read, Gabe? That he does one every hour or one every 30 minutes. A tweet, literally. He's just firing off tweets constantly. That's not my thing. I'm not big on that, all right? But that's how you connect it on Facebook, right? You come in here, click the app, you go to Facebook, you log in, and you connect it there. Now, I want to open it up. I've got to be on the road here in 10 minutes. I want to open it up for questions. And we can span these questions across what we've talked about or maybe another idea. Is that fair? 10 minutes? Is that okay? Okay. So I want to just kind of open it up for Q&A. Throw something at me. If I can't figure it out, I'll try to find an answer. Yes?
Out of all social media, which is the best?
Oh, that's a great question. Out of all the social media. Now, that's a loaded question. All right?
I was gonna say something similar to that.
Yeah.
Which one for a realtor would be the best
Okay.
use
All right.
for them to use?
So I'm going to answer that. I'm going to be very politically correct. Okay. So I think the number one that you should just make sure you start out with is LinkedIn. That's the foundation. Okay? Why? It's professional. That's the one that's going to connect with the people that have the money that are going to buy, right? That's the one that I really feel strongly. Now, this is, again, I'm giving you my personal opinion. This is my personal opinion. I'm a big believer that I want to connect to as many professional people as possible. Not to say that they're not on Facebook, but I think that's the foundation. I would start there. get my LinkedIn really, really locked in. Get that dialed in, and then I would move to my next one. Now, then the next question is, you're going to say, well, which one after that? I think the most important one after that would probably be Facebook, because Facebook it owns Instagram. Everybody knows that, right? Facebook owns Instagram. And then Facebook is kind of the catch-all for every demographic, every generational. I mean, that's kind of the catch-all. And then after that, I would go to LinkedIn. Okay? Now, you may say, well, Tomas, you just did a class on Twitter. Well, what I just shared with you is you could do all of this just by setting up an account with Twitter, doing the basics, put your little picture on there, getting it set up, and you'll never have to go there again, because how are you going to post? From LinkedIn. You're just going to click the button to send it to Twitter. And you never have to go to Twitter. So I would probably do it in that. Or if I were a realtor, if I were going back into real estate, I would really make sure, obviously got my LinkedIn locked in, got that really dialed in, my Twitter's dialed in, Instagram's dialed in, and then from there, I would start pumping out content, information, articles. Get information out there. Get things out there that are going to help people see that you are an expert. So did that answer? Is that good? Okay, next. Yes.
This is kind of regressing, but on the resume,
Yeah.
okay, I graduated and had my first job 1970.
Love it.
Clear back there.
It's up to you. Yeah, it's up to you. Did you work at that job for how many years?
I was at the Wyoming State Library 2 years, then
Yeah.
I owned a Christian bookstore for 25.
Then you can, I mean, if you like to have that in there, the 2 years as a, did you say library? Yeah.
State library.
Yeah, state, you could have that in there. And then, I mean, owning a business for 25 years is a big deal. Like, I don't think you realize how big of a deal that is. That's amazing, right? Regardless of the situation, regardless of what happened, there's so much experience that you lived in that 25 years that people will see that on your resume and be like, that's the winner right here. I need to talk to this person. So I would definitely have that on there. That's so cool. Yeah. Yes.
So I can go LinkedIn to Twitter, then to Facebook. Can I go LinkedIn to Facebook?
No. No. Now, if your Twitter is connected to Facebook, then it automatically goes to all three, right? Okay. So I'll describe it. I'll map it out. So I have this really cool article on LinkedIn that I write. I'm super pumped about it, right? And I go to write it, and it says you want to share this on Twitter as well, right? I've already connected my LinkedIn with my Twitter. They're already connected. Then before I do that article, I say, wait, Tomas told me something really cool. I need to connect my Twitter and my Facebook. So I go into Twitter, and I go to the app section, and I log into Facebook on my Twitter and link those. Now that they're linked, anything that I put on Twitter will automatically go to Facebook. And then if I go backwards, now I have my article. I'm ready. I've got everything linked. I go to LinkedIn, it goes to Twitter, and from Twitter, it automatically kicks it to Facebook.
Can you turn that off and on?
Yes.
Okay, so you have to make sure it's turned off.
And the way you do it on LinkedIn is on LinkedIn, it'll have your article, and there's a little checkbox for Twitter. And you can check it on or off.
But I mean, on Twitter as well.
On Twitter, no. I think Twitter is automatic. You would have to go in there and log out of your Facebook. Good question. Yes.
So why wouldn't it be generally to my advantage to be on all three?
You mean like posting it individually, posting it here, posting, or
Just automatically.
yes, it's to your advantage. Yes, because look, I started when I started talking about social media, when I started my magazine doing these classes, the one thing I would run into were realtors were feeling very overwhelmed. They were feeling very like, I can't go to Facebook and write a post, and then go to Instagram and write a post, and then go to Twitter and write a post, and then Snapchat. What the heck is Snapchat, right? Let's remove the tear gas, right? This is boot camp. Let's remove all of that. Let's make it really simple, and let's just make it efficient to where we connect LinkedIn and Twitter, and then you never really have to go to Twitter. You just post on LinkedIn, it automatically goes there if you check the box underneath the little post button. Okay? So, yes, I feel like for me, it's more efficient to have it to where they're automatically connected for me. Because speed is critical. Yes.
What do you do with Instagram?
Now Instagram's a different story because do you follow me on Instagram? Okay. I do a lot of posting on Instagram. I do with the help of Gabe, because Gabe helps me with my brand page, The Tomas Martinez. Please follow. But that page, I do more stories, and I do posting along with Gabe. Gabe will help me, and he'll post quotes. He'll post what we call micro content. And so I'll have like this video here. We're going to take pieces of it and make little micro pieces to put on Instagram, put on LinkedIn, put on all these different deals. And
I think, what I got out of it is that would link to anything else.
what wouldn't? My Instagram?
Yes.
Yeah, actually it does. Because on Instagram, I actually have it on, and we haven't done this class yet because I did this a year ago. Your Instagram will actually connect, just to show you real quick, you can actually, within Instagram, connect to everything. So I could come here to my Instagram and let me show you this. This will pop up here just a second. So when I go to make a post here, and I'm going to use these shoes. I like these shoes. These are the Clouds and Dirt. Gary Vee, one of the guys I told you about, he's an entrepreneur. He has his own shoe. They made a shoe for him by K-Swiss. Really, really cool, right? But these are the shoes, right? So if I go to next and I go, look right here, look, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr. So from Instagram, guess what happens if I click Twitter? Y'all already know what's going to happen. It's going to go to Facebook. Because I already have it linked. You follow me?
Yeah.
Everybody with me? Right? So if I click that button, it's going to automatically go to my Facebook from one post. Efficiency. Now, what did I tell you earlier about when you link these accounts? Sometimes the formatting changes. And the Instagram formatting, when it goes to Twitter and then it goes to Facebook, it will mess it up. It'll kind of like cut off some things. It makes the picture maybe a little smaller. And it forces them to touch it, and then it opens up Instagram. I'm okay with that. Because remember, I'm all about what? I want efficiency and speed. So, this is, as I was telling you before, here is this is my bio. Notice in your bio, you can have hashtags in your bio. So you could have Century 21, and that will show up. If someone's doing a search, your bio, your page will show up. And then, of course, as you come down, you can see all the posts. Here's a quote that Gabe had. Man, this is a micro content. This was really cool. You see the little bar? So it's telling people how long it is with this little bar. He's got the words on there because I don't know if you guys know this, but most video is watched, 60%, I think it's the number, without sound. So you want to have these little, what do we call this? The dialogue, right? The captions, right? But this was a real small piece of my speech with Cole Banker that I just did. And then if you look at this was a quote that he just did. This quote, man, this one did so well. I mean, this had 74 likes. And we had like 8 comments. I mean, that one did really, really well, right? So again, like going back to Instagram, I'm all about efficiency. Make it efficient. I don't want to spend a ton of time, as little as possible. Get in, get out, and do what makes money. And for me, what makes money is when I'm on the phone or when I'm meeting with somebody, right? That's important. Amen. One more question. Anybody else?
How much time a day do you spend on social media?
Love it. Great question. When I'm focused, not a lot. Like today, I think I did 2 stories today. I did one story from my boxing gym this morning when I was working out. on the way out, I took a picture of this Fit Aid drink that my trainer gave me. And then I did a couple of stories about my mastermind. And so I did like 3 stories. That's all I've been on social media at all today. So when I'm dialed in and focused, I'm not spending a ton of time, right?
All that stuff.
But, say again?
But all that stuff, was that all on Instagram?
That was all on Instagram. Yeah, that was all on Instagram stories. But if you know about Instagram stories, where does that go now? Where do those Instagram stories go now? Facebook stories. You now have a button where you can share it instantly to Facebook stories, which is really, really cool. And it keeps it in you, and it shows up like a little bubble, just like Instagram. Yeah.
What was Hootsuite?
Oh yeah, Hootsuite is awesome. No, that's okay. It's good. Hootsuite is it's a platform. It's a website where you could put all of your social media, like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You could have them all in there, and you could literally schedule out posts, and you could have everything on a calendar, visually. And you could literally map out and you can create the post in this program, in this web-based program. It's phenomenal, right? And it's really easy. There is a cost to it once you go past, I think it's 3 or 4 social media platforms, okay? And there's some platforms it doesn't connect to. It doesn't do LinkedIn. Yeah, no LinkedIn on there. But it does pretty much everything else. Yeah, but Hootsuite, watch one Google video on it, one YouTube video, and you're going to be like, this is cool. Especially for real estate, because you could really dial in there. All right, I got to get, my wife is in Miami, and my son, I got to pick up my son from school. So thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I really appreciate it.